What's going on, guys? Alex with 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the Sencut Kyril. So this is one of two that were sent in via the Apex passaround group as a little Sencut package. You have the Kyril and you have the Scepter. I'm going to do a separate review on both. I figured instead of doing one video combining them, I could do kind of smaller, quicker reviews. I'm going to try to really keep my videos and keep my reviews from going so long. You know, it keeps you guys more captivated, easier, and I don't ramble on as much. But yeah, so this is, I believe, a newer knife from Sencut. It is of course a Ferrum Forge design. If you guys can see the little laser engraved logo there. Beautiful sort of Warncliffe slash, sheep's foot. I could see going both ways here with the blade. Nice forward finger choil. This is 9CR 13 MOV, which is very adequate for the price range that these run in. Obviously, this is a fully blacked out model, so you have blacked out blade, blacked out hardware, blacked out clip, and black micarta. Of course, you have the loop over style deep carry clip that is very, Sencut and Civivi-esque. It is a liner lock. There is no internal milling going on this knife, but again, you have to remember the price point that it comes in at. It's on bearings. The grind, I believe, is a flat grind, but the blade stock is pretty thin to begin with, so it comes down to a nice thin edge. Beautiful blade shape. A really nice overall aesthetically pleasing package. It kind of just all flows together. I'm a big fan of how this looks. Of course, the Sencut logo there. And yeah, this and the Scepter are my first two Sencut knives that I've ever experienced. I've known about them really ever since they probably came out. But if you guys are not familiar with Sencut, they are the budget brand of Civivi and Wii. So before, you kind of had Civivi living in that $35 to maybe $75 range. And they were, for a while, Civivi was kind of king of the budget world. I still think that they're a huge player in the budget realm, but a lot of their knives, you can still find some of them, I believe, for like 40 to 50, but they live a lot of the time, between 50 to 100. They're kind of like the upper realm of the budget range now, because now they have Sencut, which lives in that $35 to $50 range. So you have Sencut, Civivi, and Wii. You have the three different, kind of the three-headed monster of their knife line. And it's kind of cool. At first, I really didn't fully understand it because at the time when these came out, Civivis were still pretty cheap, pretty still budgetish in my opinion, and I didn't really fully understand it. But now that Civivi has moved, sort of closer to $100 with a lot of their models, I think it's good that they brought out the Sencut line because it's still providing people with good quality knives for under 50 bucks. And I think that's super important. I think that's a really good thing to have in the community because for people that are just starting out, these are fantastic knives to get into for the price point, because you're basically getting, to me, if these weren't branded Sencut, these would be Civivi knives. They feel like a lot of Civivi knives that I've handled before, fit and finish, action, all that. The quality of micarta feels like Civivi. The clips, like they're basically Civivi knives, just branded Sencut. And I think that's a really good thing to have in today's world. Again, these are the first two Sencuts that I've ever handled, but they have been, impressive for the price point. But yeah, so we already kind of went over the materials. I kind of diverted there, but we're going to jump into action here. So this one is rocking a flipper tab, as you guys can see. It's nice and pointy. Has some jimping, has like two little slashes of jimping on the front and then over the top. And I also realized that if you get a good enough finger purchase on here, you can middle finger flick it, excuse me. Probably just looked like I had a stroke on the camera. But so the flipper tab, you can light switch it or you can push button it. I prefer push button a little bit more because you kind of get a little bit more oomph into your flick, or flip, excuse me. But you can do the old light switch method. D10 is tuned pretty well for the flipper. You guys can see it snaps in there. Acoustics are okay. You know, it's a micarta knife, so it kind of dulls everything out. And then of course you have a liner lock right there. Drops to your nail. Very smooth closed. You can, if you put your finger way down here on the lock bar, get it to allow the flipper tab to swing out of the way, but then you have the blade hitting right on your cuticle. And that happens a lot with flipper knives with big finger choils. So a lot of the time I just let it hit my nail with the flipper tab, and then you guys can see it's smooth, drops down. You can shake it, or you can do the bang and then one shake. That's what I tend to do a lot. But very smooth knife. Both this and the scepter came right from the factory to me via the passaround. So these weren't, you know, broken in. They weren't carried before. So these are practically brand new knives. I will say I had a little bit of issues both with the scepter and the Kyril on the pivots walking a little bit, more so on the scepter. But there is a little bit of blade play. But of course, this is not my knife, so I'm not going to mess around with it and Loctite it or anything like that. I may tighten the pivots up. Like I've done the scepter 2 times, I think now. I might have to do this real quick before I send it out, just so it's not super loose when the next person gets it in. But yeah, action for a flipper only knife, which you guys know I'm not, you know, super huge on. I think it's done pretty well. You know, it has great snappy opening action, both with the light switch, as I fail that, with the light switch, but more so I think with the push button, just fires out of there. And the closing action is, you know, very, very smooth. So no complaints there with the action on the Sencut Kyril. Next up is Ergos. And if you guys are familiar with any Ferrum Forge knife, you're probably pretty, you know, familiar with how they kind of tend to design really ergonomically friendly knives. And this is, you know, no diverting from that. So of course you have a very, very generous forward finger choil there. Even without the forward finger choil, I can still get 4 fingers on the knife. I'm kind of just, you know, I'm a little squished, but I'm not super, super uncomfortable. I could definitely use it like this if needed. You know, my pinky has a little bit more real estate back there. It's not like it's hanging off for dear life, but it is a little, you know, kind of squished together. There is jimping up top here that extends about 1 inch into the blade, which is nice. You guys are able to pick up on that. But the real gem is when you use this choil, you choke up, feels really good. It really just locks the knife into your hand. Especially with this blade shape, it's very usable. So you'll be, you know, you could be cutting labels, opening Amazon packages, you know, processing cardboard. This thing would even be good for food prep if you wanted to use it for that. But locks it into your hand, feels fantastic. You know, the one thing with Civivi clips is Sencut Civivi Wii clips is sometimes they can be a hotspot just to do how they're bent like that. But with this choil, it allows you to move up on the knife and to be not so much on the most raised part of that clip. As you guys can see, it is popping out of here. My hand is not on it. So that makes it even more of an ergonomically pleasant experience, if I can, you know, that's a new term to be coined. Sorry guys, it's pretty early in the morning. I'm banging out these reviews, so I apologize if there's any off-the-wall comments or random things said, but ergos are just really good. It's a relatively thin knife. It's not super duper tall, and it's not a huge knife in general. It's a pretty small package. These are sold on Amazon, so I'm going to try to get the specs on here. I don't know. They should be on here. So it weighs 2.99 ounces, and blade length is 3.19. So right in my sweet spot of blades. I love, you know, 3 to 3.25 inch blades. You know, very, very comfortable, very usable for me. But ergos are awesome. For under 3 ounces, I think that's a really good deal too for, you know, a fully lined knife. Of course, my card is going to help out there. And you also do have a black G10 backspacer, which I forgot to mention earlier. But I keep digressing from the actual ergos. But ergos are fantastic. This choil just really makes it locked into your hand. You know, if you're choked back, you can kind of feel the pocket lip, so that might be a little bit of a hot spot for you. But all in all, you know, really comfortable. Just a very good grip. So ergos are nicely done, as they are on a lot of Ferrum Forge designs. So next up is carry, and I just stated it was 2.99 ounces, so it's not going to be super duper heavy in your pocket. I only carried these a few times. They didn't get a ton of pocket time, but I did carry them in jeans, I believe twice, and then around the house in gym shorts or sweatpants, I think once or twice. You know, the weight's no issue, drops into your pocket. You know, you have just with how the handle was shaped, you do have a little bit sticking up out of your pocket, right where the lanyard post is or lanyard tube is. But that's not an issue at all. I'm not going to be, you know, complaining about that. To me, it's, you know, if you're getting only this much of your knife to be sticking out of a tire knife, you know, what are you going to complain about there? Now you do have a flipper tab down here that, you know, the jimping isn't overly aggressive. So like I always state, if you have to put it in your pocket, and then if you have to go into your pocket to get, you know, coins, change are the same thing. Coins, chapstick, you know, maybe some medicine, anything loose and small, a lighter that could have dropped down to the bottom of your pocket and you have to be going down beside it. You know, you might have a little bit of, you know, of a flipper tab sticking out of there, but it's not overly aggressive. You're not going to, you know, come out of your pocket and latch onto it and pull your knife out. You're just going to bounce right off of it and move away. I always like to talk about that point with flipper knives just because, you know, I'm sure some people out there have had issues like that. I haven't, you know, personally experienced issues with pulling the knife out of your pocket, but I'm sure with, you know, big, obviously I haven't handled a lot of flipper tab knives with, you know, pocket pecker flippers in a long time, but, you know, sometimes I'm sure it happens. So I just like to point that out to you guys, but carries well. It is reversible lefty or righty carry, which I also forgot to mention, so I apologize about that. But you can carry a lefty or righty, which is nice. So it's fully ambidextrous. But yeah, carries well, disappears in your pocket really. Again, it's not an overall huge knife, which is, you know, a nice small slim package. And Civivi clips do carry well. You know, they always have good retention. They're easy in and out of your pocket. You just pop it over your seam of your pant pocket and down it goes. So really no complaints at all there. But that leads me to my final category of price point and what I recommend this knife. So according to Amazon, which I will leave a link down below to this specific knife if you guys are interested. I will point out also there are 3 different models. So there is the black micarta version, there is a black G10 version with a blacked out blade, and there is a natural or JG10 with, looks like a bead blast. So there's 3 different models. The most expensive being this, and the micarta one comes in at $43.55, and the 2 G10 versions come in at $42. So at that price point, I can absolutely recommend this knife, guys. You know, 45 bucks, you know, even better if you have Amazon Prime, so it ships out in 2 days. I think 45 bucks for this knife is a really, really good deal. You know, you're getting basically, like I said earlier, Civivi build quality and materials for a lesser price point. So obviously you're getting a beautiful Wharncliffe or sheep's foot style blade, nice and thin, very, very usable. It's a Ferrum Forge design, which you have to take into aspect too. 9CR13 MOV steel, which for that price point is better than D2 in my opinion. So it's a very adequate steel. You know, not the nicest black micarta in the world. It is feeling kind of coarse, but you know, once, obviously I didn't heavy use these knives. I didn't, you know, carry them a ton. But, you know, if you were to buy one and to use it every day and to carry it, you know, your oils would soak into the micarta and it would kind of loosen up a little bit. Not loosen up, it would soften up a little bit. That's one gripe I guess I've always had with Civivi. Is their micarta is decent. It's just always really coarse feeling. I feel like they could definitely add, you know, a little bit of like oil to it before. But I guess they want you to kind of, you know, patina your own micarta, which I get. But the micarta is always a little bit coarse feeling, but that's okay. It's not the worst micarta I've ever felt in the world. It's just kind of middle of the road. But you're getting micarta, a liner lock, loop over style deep carry clip that works very well. You know, all in that for under $45, I think that's a very good deal. I really have no complaints at all. And again, it's a Ferrum Forge design, so you tend to see design collaborations be maybe a little bit more expensive, but I still think that that's a really, really good price. And for being this first Sencut model that I've ever experienced, I think this is a winner. I'm not going to run out to go pick one up just because, you know, I'm not really living in the budget realm that much nowadays. I tend to save that money to go towards, you know, a little bit more expensive knives. But I think this would be perfect for, you know, maybe your dad, your brother, your father-in-law, your brother-in-law, your best friend, someone in your life that you think that would like to get into the knife world, but you don't want to spend a lot of money on. I think this would be a very, you know, a very good starting point. Really any Sencut model. I used to say, and a lot of other people used to say, if you are looking to get someone into the knife world, just have them go look at Civivi and pick one out, and odds are they're probably going to like it just because Civivi has good build quality, good materials for a good price point. And I feel like you can say the same thing now about Sencut knives. Basically go on Amazon, type in Sencut, and whatever model catches your eye, order that, and odds are you're probably going to like it just because they have a lot of different models. I believe they're coming out with some new button locks that I've seen recently. So they're doing a lot of things in a price point of a lot of the time $50 and under, which is really impressive. So, but yeah, all in all, I'm really enjoying this knife. I really enjoyed this knife, excuse me. This was the Sencut Kyril. Huge shout out to the Apex Passaround group for loaning this beauty into me, as well as the Scepter. This full review will be up probably the next video you guys see, but I'm already at almost 16 and a half minutes, so I'm going to not talk to Siri. I'm going to wrap this guys up. I always say that. I'm going to wrap this up, guys. Again, the Kyril link to Amazon will be in the description down below. Please go check them out if you're interested. And as always, Blue Creek Knives and Barnescraft Designs will always be linked in my description down below, as well as my coupon codes. Please go check them out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.